Director, you're most welcome to this, I would say, almost informal conversation that we'd like to have with the green entrepreneurs of Rwanda. Thank you all for coming today. All protocols observed. As you know, we have ministers here, we have members of the delegation of Madame Kristalina, we have various entrepreneurs, and really we would like the conversation to be between the entrepreneurs and our guests. You've seen and you've had many conversations with government around policies. What are the policies that are required to make sure that Rwanda plays its role in the climate finance agenda, or the climate agenda at large, not only just climate finance. We've seen what policies have been put in place, and I think the IMF coming in with the RST is also a seal of support to these policies. But in the end, sustainability only makes sense if the private sector comes on board and plays its part. Government is only part of our growth story. I think having a group of very dynamic and vibrant entrepreneurs is a reason why Rwanda is where it is today. So I have the pleasure today to moderate this session with our entrepreneurs, and I'll introduce them to you very briefly, but I think they will do better justice to their businesses themselves, so we'll give them time to introduce their business as well. So I'll start, of course, with Muniak Sexco. As Muniak Sexco is one of our, I would say, I don't like the word indigenous, but our homegrown businesses. And it's a particular story because it's a story that speaks to the Rwandan entrepreneurship, but also the role of the diaspora in creating opportunities in their home country. So today we have a great opportunity to have Muniak Sexco with us. She'll get a time to introduce herself. We also have Safi, representative from Safi Universal. So maybe Muniak Sexco will talk about her business, but what she does is related to renewable energy opportunities and solutions for the market. We also have Safi Universal. That's a company that provides also electric mobility solutions, and it's an African company at heart. It was created by a Nigerian entrepreneur, but it speaks also to the business environment in Rwanda that's able to attract entrepreneurs from all over the world, but also especially all over Africa. So we'll also give them an opportunity to talk about their business. We have Rwanda Electric Mobility. I think the name says it all. They provide electric mobility solutions in Rwanda. And then we have B-Box Capital, which is also an international investment that started around energy solution, but that is now expanding into water services, provision of televisions, radios, and many other solutions. And then we also have a representative from the Africa Circular Economy Hub, which is a hub that is hosted here in Norrsken, and that provides, I would say, an environment, a conducive environment to attract more and create more and more businesses, such as the ones that are going to introduce themselves today to you. So without further ado, if you'll allow, I'll kindly ask them to introduce themselves briefly, and then we'll follow up with a Q&A, a short Q&A before we conclude. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Jerry Ndaishimie, and I'm the Business Development Manager at Safi Universal Link, or otherwise known as Safi or Sexual E-Mobility Company. So before I briefly talk about who we are and what we do, I'd like to echo Rwanda's efforts in transitioning from fossil fuel mobility to other non-pollutant means of transport, whereby currently the country has a goal to change over 150,000 motorcycles into electric. Just in the next 3 years to 5 years, 33% of that will be completely electric. So the same goal is applied to private cars and public buses in their respective capacities and also set percentages. So as we enter this new year, working towards this goal, we quickly realized that an e-mobility solution that can offer first the EVs, offer green mobility solutions for both people and goods, and also erect a public electric vehicle charging infrastructure, as well as creating green jobs through capacity building, is our ultimate way to lend a helping hand to the country, our beloved country, in its quest of achieving carbon neutrality. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear honorables, that is who we are. Over the past 5 years, we've been able to sell 200 EVs. We've trained over 2,500 individuals, youth individuals, with 55% of that number being women. We've started a logistic and delivery company to help businesses deliver their goods to people and casual consumers earn their requests. We've also created an on-demand ride-hailing service, which is called SafiRide. You can think of the Uber, by using electric motorcycles. And then we've created the first public electric vehicle charging infrastructure that will trigger over 200 electric vehicle chargers countrywide. However, over the course of our journey, we realized that offering EV innovations is just one part of the solution. So we quickly needed to revisit our business model and think of a strategy where we can actually phase out existing ICE vehicles and then introduce new electric vehicles. That's why we partnered with EnviroServe, a local e-waste management and recycling institution, where we created a program called Tunga, which will allow existing users of ICE motorcycles to exchange them for electric motorcycles. And with that being said, as I invite everyone here to visit our stand and learn more about our operation, I would like to reiterate the importance of the fact that women have been marginalized in the transport sector all over the world, and actually since the inception of this industry. As SUL, as of last year, we through our e-mobility academy, SUL has launched a program that is called Women Empowerment in Entrepreneurship Initiative that will help women participate in the motor taxi industry by equipping them with free training and free electric motorcycles for them to start joining this industry. I would like to call everyone here. Thank you very much. I would like to urge everyone here to join hands in doing so and change this narrative for Africa, for Rwanda, and for the world at large. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll get an opportunity to go through their products after the session. Yes.
I assume some of those are right here. Yeah.
Yes, we have some over there and some on this side, so it's really a pleasure. Let me maybe ask Rwanda Electric Mobility to maybe come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Managing Director. Thank you, Honorable Ministers. I would like to take this opportunity and thank the government of Rwanda that has given us the opportunity to invest into green mobility. After assessing the need to, to invest into electric, green mobility. So Rwanda Electric Motors is a Rwanda private company that has invested into electric motorcycles and graduated to electric cars. And we, of course, started with new electric motorcycles. And after assessing that however much we are trying to use the new motorcycles penetrating the Rwandan market, we found out that there is a big number of motorcycles that are already in existence and could take years to, put them aside from the market. So we did a research on what we call retrofitting, converting the motorcycles that are already in existence, which is up to 1,500. 150,000 motorcycles that are already in existence. So we did a research and retrofitted few bikes, turning them into electric for us to do the stopgap, to be able to remove the bikes that are already causing trouble to the environment. And we have done it through the Ministry of Environment. We have done a research on that, and we have retrofitted up to 85 motorcycles, and they are now in operations for the last 1 year, and they are as good as the new motorcycles. So having said that, we didn't stop from there. We started research, importing new electric cars so that we would have mobility in general, having electric motorcycles, having electric cars. So we have brought in up to 35 electric cars that are now into operations. And looking at it, the Rwandan government is supporting us. The private entrepreneurs are also using the cars for their normal transport, and we are soon graduating to electric buses. All this, of course, requires some investments, and of course, we are looking forward to collaborate with Rwanda Development Bank, together with other private banks, so that we would be able to penetrate the market by using the electric mobility solutions. Of course, looking at the infrastructure, we are also soon starting to the electric charging, the charging infrastructure, together with other players. We are yet to deploy several points where everyone could go and charge his own car, and having the infrastructure in place. Going back a little bit on the electric motors, for us, we are using batteries. We are using what we call central charging station, which will definitely have to go hand in hand with solar energy production, so that we could be having a full set of e-mobility, reducing the carbon emissions through using solar energy. So our central charging station will be powered by solar energy, and we would be charging several number of batteries, and the batteries are deployed to several stations for us to reduce even the number of waiting time. If a rider comes and his battery is finished, he picks the one that is fully charged. At the end of the day, he doesn't waste any time waiting for charging. On top of that, we have initiated a program collaborating with the University of Rwanda, together with other education institutions that are learning institutions, to train technicians. We have already trained 60 technicians, including 15 female technicians, for us to be able to have a backup of technicians who are able to do the operations and repair the cars that will be having some faults. So I thank you so much for your listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We see the partnership between, the private entrepreneurs, the university, and access to market. Let me invite now the representative from Munyaxesco to present her company.
Thank you. Good morning. I will do different like the others because you have seen my size. You will not see me there. So better to speak here, if you allowed me. Yeah. Next time I will ask people to be more gender sensitive, that some women are very, very short. So saying that, I'm the founder and the CEO of Munyaxesco. My name is Francine Munyaneza. And as she mentioned, I came back to Rwanda to create my company in solar energy. Why solar energy? Because even when I was a child at a certain time, I missed access to energy. So I decided to see, after long years in international organization, to come back to Rwanda and to create my company in solar energy. So what do we do in solar energy? We do solar water heaters, solar PV, solar home system, solar cold room, and we really do different type of product which target different kind of people, not only private business to business, but also health communities, health centers, hotels, people, you, me, and also people in rural areas. And we are lucky to have a program with BRD, the Rwandan Development Bank, where we have a program with solar home system. And thanks to this program also, we have seen that we can also reach the low-income population. It's a program which is called China Challenge, and we can really target low-income population where 70% are women. So it's really a good impact. Saying that, I take this opportunity to say that as a woman, of course, I'm gender sensitive. We have 50% of our staff who are women, a little bit more than 50%. And also we have projects, we always have projects, looking for financing to extend our activities. We are already working, had some few projects in Burundi, but we want to do more, extend not only in Rwanda, but in Burundi. And also later, internationally in Africa, we hope. And also, as we have challenge with the supply chain, to do also local assembly line for solar product, chosen solar product, because we cannot do all, but we are choosing the one where we know that will be different in the cost, and also creating job, again, gender sensitive job. This is our main initiative. And also, beside that, we really want to put more high tech in our company to boost our way of working. We are working on a project for e-platform for our company to really boost our activities. And also we have a project of green building. Saying that, it's really a pleasure to be here to share with you. You will see our Mouniac Eco stand, and we can explain more when we will be together. Thank you very much.
I think she speaks to the importance, also the role of the state to create a market sometimes. And one of the successes of China Challenge was to be able to create a market for solar home solutions that now the companies could tap from.
And thanks to all this activity, we managed to reduce our tons of carbon emission. We managed to save 5,000 tons of carbon emission per year, and we expect to do 10 times more in the next future here. It's very important.
As we scale up the numbers of green entrepreneurs and look at what can we do together to make sure that we have more and more companies, so that in your next more entrepreneurs contributing to our growth agenda, of course the ecosystem is key. And I think Norrsken is a key actor in creating the ecosystem. But I'd like to give the floor now to Mr. Hagen to come and tell us more about what the Circular Economy Hub does for green entrepreneurs. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, good morning. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Yannick Hagen. I'm the managing director of a company here in Rwanda called Verland Africa. It's the Rwandan subsidiary of Denmark headquartered Bestseller Foundation. And we've been here now for a little less than a year. This is now becoming our home. Let me start by saying, probably echoing a little bit what has been said already, but I think it's important to say, to motivate what we are doing on our side. So in our view, Rwanda is really a front runner, a center of gravity on the continent when it comes to green, sustainable growth, and by extension, the transition towards a circular economy. Rwanda is also very much home to a flourishing ecosystem of entrepreneurs, startups, innovators, the engagement of whom, in our view, is key to a successful transition towards a circular economy. And we're very excited to see that we share this view with the government of Rwanda. And I want to not least highlight what is nowadays becoming my Bible, where I put my faith, which is this publication that was recently launched by the Ministry of Environment here, the Rwanda National Circular Economy Action Plan and Roadmap. Very, very impressive, and as said, very much my Bible nowadays. So in our view, we need to support the development and growth of entrepreneurs, startups, ventures, innovators that are working with the principles of the circular economy model. So we basically saw an opportunity to I mean, sometimes when you can't beat them, join them, right? I mean, Norrsken is doing fantastic work here. They're a Scandinavian foundation. We're backed by a Scandinavian foundation. They brought about this amazing space. So we couldn't do that. We could become tenants, right? Joining them.
So we saw this opportunity to launch, and we're still in the pilot phase really, to launch what we call the Circular Economy Hub Africa right here at Norrsken in building number 4 in the middle, right up there. You may have passed it on your tour. And it is a hub that has entrepreneurs, startups, innovators in residence, all working with the principles of the circular economy solutions framework, which it should be really regarded as. It's not a separate domain or a separate asset class, this circular economy thing. It's really a framework with principles that should be applied to any and all sectors now and going forward. On the continent here, not least to sectors fashion and textile, to construction, to electronics, to packaging, to food systems, as has been laid out by the African Circular Economy Alliance, also very much supported by the government of Rwanda. Now, besides creating a community with peer-to-peer learning for these entrepreneur startups ventures in residence, we hope that the hub's role will be to connect these to all the resources they need and give them the support they need to succeed. Because they're at different stages, they're in different industries, they have different individual needs. So we dream about this hub offering tailored support, curated access to the right type of capital and investors, to know-how and technical expertise, to mentors, to advisors, to access to market and what have you. We really hope that that this becomes the place where national policies and plans hit the ground, and we're not calling it Circular Economy Hub Africa without reason. We certainly believe it should be the Circular Economy Hub on the continent here. I'll stop there for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Madam Managing Director, this is a short sample of what is out there in the economy, and it's a pleasure for me now to invite you to kickstart this conversation. The floor is yours, ma'am.
This is called partnership. I want to thank you all for taking time to come and talk about what you do and what you aspire to do even more of. As a background, the International Monetary Fund only last year adopted its first climate strategy. Why did we do it? Because very clearly growth, employment, improvements in standard of living depend tremendously on whether we are capable of accelerating a transformation of our economy so they are low carbon and climate resilient. And that climate shocks already affect countries and people, but also the green transition should not be a privilege of some. It is a tremendous opportunity. We heard about creation of jobs that the developing world should be taking full advantage of. We have decided that we should do what we advise our countries to do, and it is integrate climate across everything we do. And that means that when we engage in our regular dialogues on the economy with our members, with ministries of finance, with central bank governors, we integrate climate factors in this discussion. When we do our regular assessments of the health of the financial system, we stress test for climate-related financial stability risks. When we build data so decision makers can make informed decisions, we bring climate data, carbon intensity, vulnerability to climate shocks in an integral manner. And we are a financial institution, therefore we should be able to finance the acceleration of this transformation. So we created a new instrument. This is first time for the IMF that is long-term support for structural transformation for economies to become more sustainable, more resilient, and more inclusive. It is called Resilience and Sustainability Trust. It is funded in a very interesting way. It is funded by our members with strong reserve positions, lending us part of what we have given them last year as special drawing rights allocation, so we can on-lend on highly concessional long-term and not only long-term repayment, but long-term grace periods to our members. And out of this 40 billion, the first to benefit in Africa, Rwanda, is now going to tap into about $320 million. Why it is very important for me to meet with green entrepreneurs? Because we know that we will win or lose the climate fight depending on how fast we mobilize private finance, both domestically and from international sources in emerging markets and developing economies. If we fail during this decade to mobilize finance on a very large scale, and we know the numbers are in the trillions, then we fail to deliver carbon emission reductions and adaptation to climate change for ourselves, but most importantly, for the next generations. There is no room for this failure. We must succeed. So, what do we think? Rwanda being one where, when commitments are made, it is delivered on their commitments. Rwanda can be this bright spot, bright light for Africa, for the rest of the world to follow. I should say, Rwanda tends to be first for us multiple times. First country where we came up with non-financial policy arrangements. So you don't need to borrow money, but you do need support for your reforms. So let's work together on that. When COVID hit, we mobilized our emergency financing instrument. Rwanda was the first in Africa to tap into it. I am now going to turn to you. I have a number of questions, and I'm sure you might have questions for me. But before I do that, I was watching you, and I was thinking, okay, what is she going to do now? Because obviously this is taller than you are, right? I was in that situation once in Bali in Indonesia. I am to speak. No way my head would pop above. You know what I did? I saw that there was a gentleman, I don't know who he was, who had a briefcase. So as I was passing, I picked up his briefcase, put it down, and stepped on it. So your solution, by the way, is better. So let me reflect on what I heard. Very clearly, you operate in a country that has conducive environment for greening the economy. Very clearly, policies are directed to help you succeed. But I'm sure that you can think of even more to be done. So my first question to all of you is, what more can be done to remove obstacles for you to succeed? And then I want to a specific question, subset of that same question. We have traditionally been very reluctant to provide subsidies to private businesses on anything because it's moral hazard. You should compete, fair playing ground. Obviously, in the green transition, to accelerate, governments have to target some support for this acceleration. What of what you have experienced as support you find most important? Is it regulation? Is it access to low-cost financing? Is it the enabling environment for you? Can you give me an example of here was an obstacle and the government took it away, moved it away? And then to the those specific question on the motorcycles. So you're saying you can retrofit. What scale do you need to bring costs down so it is affordable for everyone? And how we get from here to there? Actually, both of you have probably some experience on that. And I have one question on renewable. So you're moving renewables into households. How is this received by people? What is the reaction you get? So these are my questions in whichever order we can go around and hear from you. And the guy with the Bible. How fast are businesses converted here? How fast is the Bible getting into everybody's hands?
Yeah, I will answer to the first question you mentioned, what the government did when we had some challenges. And you know that here, sometimes the purchasing power of people is very low. So to access this solar home system or solar water heaters or whatever, we had the decision from the government to to exonerate import duties for solar equipment, and also to exonerate VAT. More than that, there is a program again with BRD, the Rwandan Development Bank, where there is grants for end-user customers. According to the level of the income, there is different level of grants. We are very well organized in Rwanda, and then we know what has the classification of people. So depending on their classification, they can get some corresponding grant. These are the challenge. The challenge that was resolved. Another challenge that we have, and I think is not specific to me but to many of us, it's access to finance. We were mentioning low-cost finance. This is a real challenge for us, but not only low cost, but also flexibility of finance, because many times there is so many conditions, so hard conditions, that finally it's really a minority of people who have access to this finance. So if we can make them more flexible to give access, and much more to women, because it's always a challenge for women, and much more in the sector which is male dominated as it is ours. And your last question was about, I forgot the last question, specifically about renewable energy.
What do you hear from your customers?
Yes.
What do you hear from the households?
Customers.
What is their response?
It depends of the type of product. I remember when we started solar water heaters, there was really, people were very not confident. Méfiant in French, I don't know how you say that in English. Suspicious. They didn't know what it is. And when I started alone with 2 or 3 staff, we were going to houses, explaining to them what was solar water heaters. And that was also, again, part of a program which is called Solar Rwanda program, where to encourage people, the government was giving grant and loan at 0 rate for the end user customers. Despite that, they were very suspicious, and we really had to talk a lot. Despite the grant, we really had to talk a lot, to sensitize a lot, and there was also from the government some advertising at radio, television, so we really had to do a lot. But thanks to that, now people are not suspicious anymore, and they really they want more. Even the tenant asked the landlord, please put a solar water heaters. That's a condition to rent the house. For solar home system, this is for low income population. Since there is this program of grant for the end user customers, usually they are very happy. Sometimes they don't know how to use it, so we need really to sensitize and to train them. And there is also some program for the government also to sensitize them. They do like a tour of the the places and to sensitize people to get access to this solar home system. So, of course, when there is this new thing, solar cold room, and I'm too long maybe, solar cold room, it's a huge challenge. You can't imagine. So now to adapt, yeah, because for us we thought, oh, we resolve a solution. There is loss of post-harvest loss, fruit and vegetable. We resolve a solution. People will just come and adopt it. But again, this is a big change for them. They don't know what it is. So again, we work with RAB, Rwanda Agriculture Board, and with the support, we hope it's a long path. With the support, we hope that we will manage really to make this program, the project, sustainable and profitable for all of us, the beneficiaries and ourselves. Thank you.
Great. Can I ask you, were they suspicious because the sun is not always there? Why were they suspicious?
I think they are used to normal electricity. They see this on-grid electricity. So when they look the solar, they say, it will not work. Despite the fact that it's working, the room is cold, everything's there. And we prefer electricity, the real electricity. That's what they think. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So again, perception, but with the support of the authorities, and there is a kind of network of authorities, private sector working together. So with that, we hope it's a long path that we manage to resolve the issue. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Just to add a little bit, the grant program that she's mentioning is actually backed by a carbon credit program. So the way we source the grant as BRD is that we sell the carbon credit. So just to tie back the conversation, we sell it to the World Bank at the moment.
Right, okay.
Yes, we sell it via the World Bank. Maybe we can go to Safi.
Thank you very much. So I'll put it this way. I think the right setup is already made in Rwanda, in the country, and from country level vis-a-vis IMF, it's now for both parties to work it out and see how they can enable those setup. But I will briefly maybe explain what has been done so far. For example, like she mentioned, my colleague mentioned, all electric vehicle materials are import duty-free, excise duty-free, and all that. But then not only just that, the charging infrastructure where now the public has to charge the e-vehicles, they get an industry-rated tariff. We get an industry-rated tariff, which in turn helps us to bring down the consumer price. And now it's easy for them to adapt. But it doesn't just stop there. I would like to name something called Nationally Appropriate Mitigation Action Plan, where now the government is acting like a guarantor to the private sector and now de-risking what a financial institution has been seeing as a risk in terms of investing money for the e-mobility solution to scale up. Now, I would like to thank a proactive development bank like BRD, which just passed a project. We're working with them on that, but also it's also still in that framework where the country is still trying to boost the private sector. And I would also like to mention that as we partner with the government, we also need to build awareness around this solution. Like my colleague said, it's very, very capital intensive, the technology. But down the road, how much the individual saves is actually beating the actual investment cost. So it's all a matter of partnering with the right individuals and the right institutions and making sure that we get the message across and helping the public grow the levels of eco-consciousness, and we'll see this through. Yeah.
I think one of the questions that the managing director asked was, what would it take for you to go to scale? What would it take for you to, do 100 times what you're doing today?
Yes, I'm joined with my CEO. I think maybe we'll add on that, Mr. Tony Adesina. So what it will take I think we have a program right now where we have a roadmap in the next 3 to 5 years, where we'll now help the government phase out ICE motorcycles. So what the government has done with the NAMA projects, the Nationally Appropriate Mitigation Action, is now act like a guarantor. Now the banking sector is availing more funds to scale those solutions. But not only that part, now the leasing institution, financial institution, are now more willing to lend to the general public who have a very low purchasing power in terms of acquiring these vehicles. So in this regard, I no longer have to pay upfront. I can pay down the road, like over 25 months, for example. And then they're putting programs around it where getting a leasing system from actual ICE vehicles and getting a leasing system of EVs is much more beneficial than that of ICE vehicles. So everyone will run to the more easier way. So that's what is being done. I don't know if Masio wants to.
Good morning, everyone. Just to add, my name is Tony Adesina, founder and CEO of Safi. Just to echo what Jerry said, in terms of subsidizing and reducing the cost to the end users, I think this is very crucial if we're looking to do the transition from ICE to electric mobility. So we can find a way to collaborate together and find a way to reduce that cost. Maybe if they trade in a motorcycle, they get a rebate of maybe $500, for example, and that can be passed on towards the cost of the vehicle. And then I'm working with the leasing companies. We can give them ample time to pay back. Obviously, we have a monitoring system that ensure that these vehicles are, well kept. This will really fast track the transition from ICE vehicles to electric mobility. But overall, to answer your question you asked earlier, government of Rwanda has done a tremendous job. From where we started from, we made requests ourselves, REM. We wanted, free, for example, free license plates to encourage people to transition to electric mobility, free import duty, lower electric tariff so we can pass it on to the consumers. We've gotten everything we've asked for, just the license plate aspect of it, which I think down the line that will come. And it's really encouraged the general populace to really embrace this. And also RURA, which is the governing body, they've been able to set tariff that favors both us, the investors, and the end users to really get people to accept and, adapt to electric mobility. And I think in the next 5 years, Rwanda will continue to pave the way and be the poster child for other African countries to really adapt electric mobility.
So I think from the conversation, it's quite clear that the market will not do its thing on its own. There is a role for the use of subsidy and flexible financing instruments to support these early adopters, because the market is not always very friendly to the early adopters. And I think the partnership between government and the private sector has been good from that point of view. Yes, Donald?
Thank you. I think my colleagues have said it all when it comes to the government support. My only comment would be on education sector. This is a new sector that requires to have much technicians. So this program should actually be encouraged to be included in the universities and technical schools so that we won't have the gap of having the loss of manpower in that sector. That is number one. Number two, access to finance. They have said it all. And I would go straight to my question of retrofit. Actually, by the time we started this, we did it just for the sake of cutting cost. One electric bike costs up to $1,600. But when it comes to retrofit, it is less than half of that amount. And at the end of the day, you know that the motorcycles are already in the market, and it would take maybe 10 years to, stop using the motorcycle that has been on the market. So we are targeting up to 3 to upwards years for the bike that has been into the operation. Then we just change it into electric. So it's a kind of stopgap, and it is halfway the cost of a new electric motorcycle. So at the end of the day, it cuts more than 50% of the cost to retrofit other than having a new electric motorcycle. Thank you.
So we have one player here, Madam Managing Director, that has been able to actually bring scale in a very dramatic way. And I'd like to pause a little bit and give them time to share how they've managed not only to scale in Rwanda, but also scale in Africa. So I'd like John from B-Box Capital to please share his story.
Thank you, honorable ministers and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is John from B-Box. B-Box is a super platform transforming lives and unlocking potential across Africa through access to energy and other products and services. In Rwanda, over the last 9 years, we've been able to deploy over 150,000 solar home systems. Those are households already connected to off-grid market in Rwanda. And in terms of impact, that is about 600,000 people that are benefiting from light every day. And I also want to mention that today, I just want to supplement on what my friend mentioned. In terms of, again, impact, today a rural kid is able to have the similar experience as the counterpart in Kigali and other major cities on grid, enjoying the same experience of the grid. So in terms of education, that has really elevated the status of education in Rwanda. Thanks to the government of Rwanda for really allowing the different private sectors, solar home companies to establish in Rwanda. We have also provided employment to over 600 people, 200 direct and indirect, 400 indirect people, what we'd call off-roll or independent contractors. Yeah, so among other things that we are also doing is we're also looking at other good initiatives such as green cooking, e-mobility. Yeah, so there are so many pilots and or projects that are ongoing or aimed at making Rwanda and world a better place. Today, Rwanda is the pioneer of B-Box prosperity. We are now in 12 African markets, and we are only growing. And we hope to cover so many markets in many, many years to come. And as so many colleagues have mentioned, the critical issue is access to finance. Thanks again to the government of Rwanda for having enabled a renewable fund energy, whereby even the people at the bottom of the pyramid are now able to access electricity. Today, Rwanda is connected at a rate of 75%, and close to 20% is coming from off-grid. And the target is actually to electrify 100% in 2024. And off-grid will play a very key role, where 30% is estimated to come from off-grid. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'd like now to give maybe 2 minutes for you to talk about how the Bible actually gets implemented in this market. Can we have a mic? And then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, thanks for the great questions. I think we are seeing good traction, good conversion, and we need not only the entrepreneurs, we also need the intrapreneurs, which I call the change makers in the more established businesses. That are trying to move the needle and change their model beyond a linear status quo model. I think we're seeing good examples of that, and some companies have even gone through a circular accelerator here in Kigali with Impact Hub, and they've then ended up at our hub as tenants now. So that's really important to have all forces at play. And also, I think academia was mentioned before. We're partnering with African Leadership University with the student venture fund on circularity. I know that the University of Rwanda is building a degree on circular economy. So it takes all these forces together, and then we'll really move the needle. And again, policy is important, right? And good producer responsibility schemes are being put in place here. Which will really also make a difference and ultimately become an extra source of funding for the entrepreneurs that are actually trying to recycle, for instance, plastic bottles in this country, right? So I think final point from my side on the financing bit, yeah, it's really about building a cohesive chain of funding, right? So that the very early stage entrepreneurs can access capital and they know where to go next after the first round they've secured of capital, so they don't spend 50% plus of their time fundraising while they should be building their businesses. And I think we've explored a lot together with Fonerwa, the Green Fund here, in trying to bridge their two facilities and what we and other investors in the venture space in between such such facilities can then plug in with. And then finally, because it was also mentioned before, capital-intensive businesses, right? We're not talking about light cost when you scale businesses, right? It's intensive. It's not a fintech, right? I mean, so it's capex and opex intensive, and you run tight ships, tight margins. So it's always about trying to enhance your business case and see more revenue streams. And another thing is how do you tap into the private markets? Carbon credits were mentioned, right? And I think Rwanda is leading by example by selling a lot of credits on the national carbon markets. I think we're trying to see how can we make that possible also for entrepreneurs. How can they tap into carbon credit schemes? How can they tap into plastic credit schemes and so on and so forth? Sorry, that was more than 2 minutes.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think we're coming to an end of this session. So I'd like to maybe, yes.
I have one more question.
Yes,
it is very mundane, but I hope that the two of you would have the answer. When I got my electric car, one of the things I loved about it, very quiet. But then I was told that for young people, this is a problem because they want to hear the roaring of the car. And that applies even more to motorcycles. What do we do? I mean, I would prefer quiet, but...
Yeah, that is a very big challenge when it comes to young people, but of course with the support from the governments and even the other players to advertise and advocate for the environment. That is the only idea that we push. For example, where I work from, I have what we call a charging station, exchange station. When I sit in my office, I don't hear any noise that is coming to the riders are coming and picking their batteries and going without any interference. But of course, for the young people, it is very hard to convince them. But we have got some innovations, especially when it comes to the bikes, where you put a sound, especially when it comes to the passengers who are pedestrians, for you to hear that there is something coming in behind you, because it is very quiet. You can't even tell that the car is coming. But for the vehicles, it's a very big challenge. You can't do any innovation to make it sound, because it's electricity that is just moving, putting into the motion. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, very good question. My husband just bought an electric vehicle, and he's one of those that like raving. But at the end of the day, what flipped him was the tax exemption. So at some point, you need to choose between noise and cost and price. And if price can win, I guess we can win their hearts. So thank. And the youth are not big buyers. Yes, they're not big buyers. That's true in the motorcycle. So thank you very much, and thank you all for coming. I'd like to give time to the Minister of Environment to give us some concluding remarks before we close the session. Honourable Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I will be short. Actually, in Rwanda, our youth are used to the noise of bird, the songs of bird, because our youth is going really green. And if you have noticed, there are no smokers in this country.
Yes, I did notice.
Yeah, because environment is at the heart of everything we do. Even our youth, you have seen, age is no issue when it comes to protecting environment, because when we are protecting environment, we are protecting our people. Because we put people at the heart of everything we do. Policy, programs, projects, and of course, without forgetting, putting women at the forefront. Because when we are talking, for example, about clean cooking, every time we are talking about clean cooking, I see a woman with a baby on the back using charcoal or firewood, and the smoke does affect not only the woman, even the baby. So that's why you see women are up fighting for clean cooking, for green environment, and the choice of this place is not by coincidence, because this place is green. You can even hear those songs of birds. Yes, so...
Minister, I'm moving my office here.
Thank you very much. So we thank you very much, Your Excellency, MD, to have chosen Rwanda for this facility and for this grant. I may call it a grant. That is the recognition of the climate policies, reforms that Rwanda has undertaken and is going to undertake under this financing. And of course, it will help our private sector, our private bank, to be able to meet all the challenges our young investors have expressed. And Rwanda, as always, is ready to move forward Rwanda, to move forward Africa, and to be the image you would like us to be. And we won't disappoint you. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The call to action is clear. We need to find a way to transform the RST or move the RST into actual impact and access to finance for a young entrepreneur. And the challenge is ours. And as the Minister has said, we're all up to the task. So thank you all for coming today. Brings us to the close of our event. We'll have a quick tour of the solutions and maybe one group photo, and then we can move to the next event. Thank you very much.